everything is what it is when you give it assignment. Now the society that the movie is actually based on, where Neo was part of, right, and Morpheus, it's known as a very destructive, an anti-utopia, an anti-utopia. There was no freedoms here for human beings. They were controlled. All right. So when Neo realized that no, okay, we are in the system and things are not what they seem to be, how can we now fix it? How can we now make things better? That's when he became now the fighter. He started learning about his physical abilities and how to fight, and also his spiritual abilities and how to manipulate the matrix, right? So when you find out about the matrix, everything online is escaping the matrix and stuff like that. People think you need to escape from something, or you're going to escape from yourself, because you are part of the matrix. The matrix is not the matrix without us. We are creating the matrix. So how do you escape yourself? Right? It's not about escaping yourself or escaping the matrix. It's about escaping your unconsciousness, about waking up and seeing what's real, and choosing high frequency instead of low frequency, choosing love and peace and wellness. Now you're escaping, or you kind of escaping the matrix. You're now becoming the master of the matrix. Now remember that there's a collective matrix where we're all part of, and there is a individual matrix. Every single person is part of the matrix, as long as you're born here in this game. Even if you have a soul or you don't have a soul, you're still part of the matrix. You're still here in the game, right? Whatever you believing and whatever you expressing, whatever your world view is, you adding to the matrix. In other words, so you cannot escape yourself, right? But you can be able to transcend negativity. You're able to transcend death, right, and choose life. You're able to awaken to the truth of life, that there's only oneness here. There's separatism, and separation is actually an illusion and a lie, right? That's now you're becoming to master the matrix. You're mastering yourself. You master the matrix because you are part of the matrix. When you master yourself and understand yourself, that you are love and peace, that there's no enemies besides the ones that you choose to be enemies, and you're able to master yourself, know thyself, right? This is the old thing. Know thyself. When you know thyself, understand thyself, and love and accept thyself, and stop criticizing yourself, and stop fragmenting yourself, just embracing all of you, your inner child, all those archetypal things that you have within yourself, all those representations of yourself, the warrior, the hero, the villain, all those things. That's all parts of our collective psychic, and also our individual micro psychic as well. Hi, Teresa, Aaron's, Latoya, thank you for joining my live. Today we're talking about the Matrix, right? And basically, we'll give it another twist. It's not about fear. It's not about, oh my God, we are controlled. We are in the Matrix. We are adding to the Matrix. We are part of the Matrix, right? Now, it's called a dystopia or dystopia. A dystopia, right? Right. The dystopia environments, a place where there's a lot of chaos, where it's an anti-utopia. Utopia is like heaven on earth, right? Dystopia is more of like what we see now in most of the world, right? We're seeing corruption, we're seeing oppression, we're seeing control, we're seeing manipulation of the truth, we're seeing freedoms taken away, and humanity being enslaved by their perceptions, I believe, enslaved by the corporations as well. You understand? Because once you realize that you have freedoms and you have choice, you now free yourself. But when you're not awake, then you become a slave to the corporations. It's okay to work for the corporation, especially when you know that this corporation is not controlling you. You know this is a choice. You know that you have a choice to actually be a sovereign being, even in a workspace, okay? You're still a sovereign being, even in a workspace, because you make a choice to be there. The day that you step aside and leave the corporations and go open your own business or do something that's going to create an income for you, you have that choice as well. You understand? So it's all about the perception. Not every single person that's working for corporation is being controlled by the matrix. Okay, it's not like that. Not every single person. It's about your perception. When you see things as just neutral, okay, we are in the matrix, we're in the system, we're playing a game, right? So, what are the rules of engagement? That's the most important part. What are the rules of engagement when it comes to the matrix? Okay, that kind of thing. Those are things we need to consider as well. So, the movie is actually about Neo living in this very anti-utopia environment where they were controlled by these machines. So the question is, are we here? Are we there now at this moment? Are we in that type of environment that the movie is actually all about? Is the world exactly like that at this moment? That kept on coming back to my mind. You understand? Are we here? Are we at the space where the movie is all about? You know what I mean? The dystopia, corruption, no control, people are being controlled and stuff like that, suffering and stuff like that. You understand? So I made some notes about that as well. Now, dystopia. As I said, oppression, control, inequality, manipulation of the truth. Truth is hidden with propagandas. Okay, loss of freedom of humanity, right? Environment is not healthy, not healthy food, not healthy water, polluted water and stuff like that, right? Now the political systems, now you can divide it into political systems, into economical and corporate systems. You can divide it into digital psychology and yeah, other concepts of this whole reality. Okay, so let's start with political systems. Okay, political systems, like for example, we have democracy, but is it truly democracy? Do we truly have freedoms in this democracy? Right? Because remember that the governments are controlled by the corporations, because the governments operate in the terms of they need money, they need income, they need resources. The corporations have the money and the control, right? Because they have the money. So who has the money? The currency has more control. So the governments are supposed to be democratic. Supposed to be democratic. Most of the world countries are supposed to have some sort of democratic government, right? But is it truly so? Is it not uh, authoritarian governments claim to be democratic? Is it not authoritarian governments, right? Propaganda and stuff like that, right? Censorships, right? Mass surveillance, censorship, propaganda, all the things that are used as tools in a so-called authoritarian governments, right? But however, we're seeing these things in democratic governments at this moment. We're seeing mass surveillance, cameras everywhere, China, even other Western countries as well. Let me think of a Western country. UK has a lot of cameras and stuff like that, right? Propaganda, manipulating people's public views by giving them misinformation, twisting the information, right? All this is part of a dystopia environment. So remember that the word dystopia and the feel of it is not just one thing, it's a broad spectrum of different things in society, even in the economical environment, right? Like the corporations are also pushing their whole control, dominance, financial dominance. Mega corporations influence governments, as I said earlier on. Mega corporations influence governments. And remember that the governments are put there by the people in the democratic governments, countries. They so-called put there by the people. So once you put that vote in and you said whatever you want to say and you did what you want to say, like 4 or 5 years, some countries is 5 years, some countries 4 years, right? You have another vote. You have no control over the people that you put there, right? They're not coming to you and say, okay, please do an audit on our government, how we are governing this country. Please do an audit. Not doing that. And there's no one that can audit themselves. There's no one that can audit themselves. I mean, it's weird. How can I audit myself when the people supposed to audit now what they do, especially in my country, right? they normally have these external, internal, actually internal organizations that audits the government stuff that's happening in government, right? Which is weird because again, it's not going to be objective. You cannot audit yourself. The people supposed to audit the government and take them to accountability. Is that happening in democratic countries? I'm talking about Africa. I'm talking about America. I'm talking about Europe. Talking about Canada. I'm talking about all so-called democratic countries. Is there something like that going on? Economical and corporations, right? That's another dystopia type of thing. The total control, influencing even the money, the banks, in controlling the money and controlling the people's finances by giving you credit score. That's another control. It's another control. If you don't play by the game, you don't benefit as a citizen. If you don't play the game and fix your credit score and focus on the credit score, take debt, right? Take debts and then also make sure you're paying for that debt, right? Play the game well, right? That's what they're wanting. It's all about control. Now they're controlling every part of society. Now, there's also signs of dystopia. You understand? Digital psychology as well. Very important. Subtle psychological dystopia. Digital age we are in now. Right? The algorithm, right? Algorithm that controls everything is a form of control. Like now, right? Like now, I'm on this YouTube at this moment, right? I'm having a certain how would I say, effects on the system. You understand? Me being in a certain country, it means that I don't have an open flow like other countries. Because you are controlled by the country you're in, about the content that you're giving, and also about the amount of people that follow you. Now remember, you're building numbers, so the more you build numbers, the more you expand, kind of thing, right? That is control, basically, right? Because that way, subtle control. What you see and think and buy is influenced by an unseen force called the algorithm. What is this algorithm? What is this thing? What is this thing that's controlling us? What that we cannot see? You understand? Something like, then also we speak about surveillance of capitalism as well. Okay. Surveillance of capitalism. Your data is a product, right? Your data is a product, your information, like your likes, your dislikes, everything that you like. Every time you Google and it's put in a name and whatever you want there, that's your data right now. That data is a product. You understand? Which is very interesting. Coming from the state, a time where 1999, I'm born in 1976, okay? 1999, I was working in corporate and everything like that. I just started working in corporate. And what was there at that time was not as different now. You understand? Now we have more advanced systems. This is long before the internet. Am I right? Yeah. 1999, 90, yeah, around there, right? So, environmental sources, there was the internet, but it wasn't the way it is now, okay? We had some sorts of technology, yes, but it was not the way it is now. We had internet, but it wasn't as it is now. There was no social media. When did YouTube start? I didn't do my research and they're just popping out, right? Environmental research as well. Dystopias have a problem with the environment. Dystopian environments don't have clean water. There's a lot of what they call it, pollution in the air and stuff like that. Right. Hi, sir. Is it yes, sir? How are you? Must really pie. I hope you're well. Happy Saturday. I hope you're having a great weekend. We're talking about a topic called the Matrix. Are we living in the Matrix as according to the movie? Can we now reassess? Okay, now we are really at that stage. If you watch the movie, the first one in 1999, like the very first one, right? And then try and understand, okay, the world we are in now in 2025, can we draw parallels to it? Can we say it's the same thing? Are we in the matrix? Are we being controlled by technology? Are we being controlled by AI? In my opinion, it's only at the beginning. It's the beginning stages, because now more and more is going to be unfolded and rolled out, and it's nothing to be afraid of, because it is an expression of who we are. We are creating this as a collective, okay? We are creating, because we're part of the matrix. Every single person is part of the system. We creating this holographic reality, right? So we're not victims, right? We need to understand that we're not victims. When you give your power away, then you want to say things like, oh, I need to escape the matrix, oh my God, I cannot be controlled, and all those other things, all negativity. But if you look at it this way, that we are actually partaking it right now. I'm on this internet, right? I'm on YouTube at this moment. I'm also on TikTok as well, right? Which is part of the matrix system,